Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 20 career mode here for our second season in MotoGP. And this time we've got round 4 of the season at Jerez, obviously the Spanish Grand Prix. Now this is exactly where we left it off last time, so we've got advanced forward a week to the Spanish Grand Prix. So we've got no notifications on our front. We'll have a look at the Moto3 team. Nothing on that front either. So let's have a look at the championship standings then, just to give you a quick recap of how things are after the first 3 rounds of the season. So quite a mixed up order really. There has been some crazy races so far this season. Marc Marquez not scoring in the first 2 whatsoever. That's why he's down in 8th in the championship. He crashed out of both of them. There was a bit of a multi-rider pile-up at the first corner in Austin. So that's why myself, Pol Espargaro, Marc Marquez, Fabio Quartararo and Maverick Vinales, who you'll notice aren't even in the top 9 here on the page, we all got caught up in that crash. But it is extremely close. If you have a look from basically 7th up to 2nd place, there's 11 points separating those riders. Only 16 if you go all the way down to 9th in the championship, 17 if you look at Vinales in 10th, and Morbidelli in 11th place. So an extremely close championship. But Jack Miller underperforming in the last 2 races really. He's not been involved in any crashes or anything like that. He's just not really had the pace so far. Alex Rins, of course, fell off in Argentina, had contact with me. Just a weird incident really. I was in front going into the corner, but I sort of cut back into the pack. Rins didn't realise I was going to do that. Obviously it was a bit of an erratic thing to do, I suppose, but one of those first up things, and he clipped the rear of me and down he went. If we have a look where Fabio Quartararo is, he's 14th in the World Championship with 12 points after these 3 races. So he's not totally out of it, but I've got quite a big lead, 30 points ahead of Dovizioso and Rins, who are tied for 2nd. Purely just because I'm the only person that's been on the podium every race. The others have all had off weekends. Dovizioso also crashed in Argentina, so a lot of riders just not scoring very well. Rossi's been fairly consistent, but just not that high up the order. He's been getting in the points. So if we look at the Constructors' Championship, the inconsistency of my rivals has opened up a 20-point lead for our constructor in the championship because, well, the one race where I finished 3rd place, I've won 2 of them, finished 3rd in 1. Obviously Alex Rins was 2nd in Austin, so we've only lost 5 points so far as a maximum we could have gained as a constructor, so it's pretty good. So we've got a 20-point lead in the Constructors, dominating it. And if we look at the Teams' Championship, we have a 36-point lead. It's absolutely massive lead there. Interestingly enough, myself, if it was just my points and you take away Rins, I don't think Mir has actually contributed any to. I don't think he's been in the top 2 of the Suzuki so far, because he also crashed out in Argentina, so there was lots of crashes going on in Argentina, but even my points on my own would be tied for 1st place with Mission winner Ducati, so that's quite interesting there on its own. So then, without any further ado, we'll head into Jerez qualifying 1 now then, and hopefully we'll get through without any difficulties. So then, here we are at Jerez for qualifying 1. Let's see who's in the session with us. So it's Brad Binder and Oliveira, so both the factory KTMs then. Danilo Petrucci and Eichel Aquona, both the Tech 3s. Both of the Aprilias with Aleix Espargaro and Cal Crutchlow. Takaki Nakagami and Alex Marquez, so both the LCR Hondas. Both of the Pramacs and both of the Avintias. So it's just groups of teammates. It's actually teammates in here. So the teammates very, very closely matched so far apparently then, as it shows, although Nakagami is a bit ahead of Alex Marquez because this will be in the order that the laps in free practice were set. So obviously last year here at the Spanish Grand Prix we got our first win of the season aboard the Tech 3 KTM. Of course qualifying, we qualified really well, but it was a bit of a fluke because it was a drying track. So it was a wet track and it was drying up, so we did the lap time right at the end to try and get that 2nd position. Miller was actually on pole position, interestingly enough. We'll head out onto the track now then, and hopefully our dry weather pace on this Suzuki is good enough to get us straight through. So coming down towards the last corner, and if I'm honest, I'm getting a bit sick of Jerez. Doing it all the time now, obviously, in real life, the last 2 MotoGP weekends have been in Jerez. Obviously the World Superbikes are here at Jerez as well, so seeing it a lot on the TV, and then also playing it a lot, you know, to do videos to coincide with those races, or when I played online, people wanted to pick it because that was the race. It's the race that was going on currently, like that weekend. So I've been playing so much Jerez lately, so I should be very fast around here. Although Petrucci's still getting away with a massive wheelie out of turn 3, so a slight distraction there as we go through turn 4. Obviously the corner where Marquez had his pretty big save, and obviously he crashed sort of going into it as well later on, so obviously not a fan of that section of the track, but quite wide through Cito Ponds. We're quite far off the time currently, so the pace so far around this first sector has not been great. Although, like I said, I had wheelied a couple of times to hit the brakes then for Danny Petrucci corner, half a second off so far, but we have gained quite a bit of time on Petrucci. Really the end of the lap was where I was quicker, especially through Jorge Lorenzo corner last year, getting the exit out of there. I was so much faster than the rest of the riders, and I think that's what set up every move that I made in that race last season on the Tech 3 KTM. So actually, speaking of the Tech 3 KTM, my former team with Danilo Petrucci just ahead of me. Oh, 4 tenths away, but we did a massive wheelie there into Pelliquet. Trying to fire out of Pelliquet then, coming towards this fast right-hander, Alex Crivier. We've gone in really badly into Crivier actually. I've lost probably a lot of time from that. Taking it way too tight. Through Ferrari then, down towards the Jorge Lorenzo corner. Goes right up. Danilo Petrucci trying to get a good exit out of here. The rear tyre is actually extremely hot, so perhaps a medium tyre would have been better to go with on this lap. In the switch of Petrucci then, coming up towards the line. What's the time going to be? Personal best, but it's 3rd position so far, so we do need to improve on that. Obviously only the top 2 go through. So 3 tenths away in the first sector. It's actually away from Brad Binder. Did the rewind trick just to see who's on pole. 36.9 actually the fastest lap, so not an extremely quick lap here. Only 64 thousandths away now, so finding quite a bit of time in that second sector. 2 tenths away now, so we actually lost some time through sector 3. Sort of towards the line then. What's this time going to be? Is it good enough to go top of the session? Yes, it is, by 1/10 of a second there ahead of Brad Binder. So we'll head back to the pits, and hopefully that's good enough to keep us in pole. But if it's not, then we'll have to come back out and do another lap. It was just enough, 92 thousandths of a second faster than Miguel Oliveira in second. He's actually managed to best his teammate Brad Binder there in 3rd place. So Oliveira is usually the one that goes with us through into Q2, but Brad Binder's usually there, so Brad Binder's going to be bitterly disappointed to not be in Q2 this time. Lecuona 4th then, Nakagami 5th, Bagnaia 6th, 7th then for Crutchlow, 8th for Petrucci. I don't know why I messed up on Petrucci's name so much there. 9th for Lacia Spargo, 10th for Jorge Martin, 11th for Jean Zarco, 12th for Tito Rabat, and 13th for Alex Marquez. So Alex Marquez once again starting near the back, but his race pace is always fantastic, so it'll be interesting to see how he comes through the pack, because yeah, like I said, his race pace is always great, so he'll most likely get some points in the race regardless. So then, let's head into qualifying 2 now, and I think I'll actually try a medium rear to see if that's any better. So here we are then in qualifying 2, putting a soft on the front. Going to put a medium on the rear just to see how we get on with that, and let's get this race started. Get this race? See, the medium tyre's putting me in the mood for the race. Let's head out onto the track and let's try and get pole position. Starting our lap then here in Q2, 2 tenths away in the first sector. 36 thousandths in this second sector, 92 thousandths underneath in this sector. We actually found time in the sector 3 this time. So coming towards the line then, what's the time going to be in this session? 1:36.0, so quite a bit quicker than we did in the previous session. Good 8/10 of a second, I think that is actually. So we'll head back to the pits then to see if that's good enough at the end of the session. So back in the pits then we need to see if it's going to be good enough at the end of the session. Currently Valentino Rossi in 2nd position, so fair play to him. Half a second off, so it's probably not going to be good enough, although he could just be on for a really good qualifying. So then, in the end it was good enough, 2 tenths ahead of Marc Marquez in 2nd place, Maverick Vinales in 3rd, and Fabio Quartararo in 4th there. All very, very close. Well, the whole grid is really, really close, but Vinales and Quartararo qualifying quite well. They're going to definitely want to have some good races here at Jerez. Obviously the Yamaha works pretty well here. Dovizioso then in 5th place, Rossi in 6th, obviously again showing that the Yamaha is working pretty well for him there. 7th for Polo Spagra, 8th for Alex Rins, 9th for Jean Mir, 10th for Jack Miller, 11th for Morbidelli, so Morbidelli struggling a little bit there in qualifying, although again the pack is really, really close. And then 12th obviously for Miguel Oliveira on the KTM, so top KTM there in 12th place. So obviously usually, last season I would say, head into the race now, but time to head into my Moto3 race and let's see how my 2 riders get on. So then down here on the grid, Daisy Jackson in 22nd and Manuel Hernandez in 21st, so struggling a little bit here in qualifying both of my riders, but hopefully they'll have some better races because their racecraft has seemed to be actually quite good so far. So let's follow this race then, and hopefully they can get into the top 15. So we're actually on the wrong camera angle, got to get to the TV camera angles, waiting for the lights to go out here at Jerez, lights out and away we go. On board with Daisy Jackson, but to be honest they're both quite close to each other on the grid. I think I actually might go over to Manuel Hernandez though, because he is just ahead of her as they go down towards the first corner. Nicola Antonelli looks like he's got the whole shot in front, but there they go side by side through the first corner there. Don't have contact with each other please, as they go down towards Dunlop corner. They've both had fantastic starts because they're in 16th and 17th positions already, and they've started outside the top 20, so that's pretty good. So they're already almost up into the points, and they both race a bit better than they qualify usually. So on board Daisy Jackson now, the lead rider once again, as they go through the tricky left-hander, obviously where Marc Marquez had his big issue in the first Jerez race, although he wasn't in the second one, so I guess it'd be pretty obvious it's on about that one. But around the outside goes Hernandez. Is he going to pull it off? Not quite, but they're right behind Kaito Toba now as they go down towards the Dani Pedrosa corner. Here comes Daisy Jackson past Kaito Toba. up into 15th place then. So she's up into the points. Can Hernandez follow her through? Actually, no, she's lost a position on the brakes there. So Toba, pretty good braking ability there, because to be honest, she'd already got in front of him on the straight alone. Is she trying to go right on the outside into this quick left hand? Obviously, we crashed here a couple of years ago in qualifying in Moto 2, and she's pulled it off actually around the outside. And Hernandez is trying to get in on the now, trying to go around the outside as well. So the two of them trying to come through the pack as a team so far as they go down towards the Angel Nieto corner, nearly called the Aspar corner. The Aspar corner is the one before it. As they go through there, then she's right on the back of Carol Idan Powie. Now, can she try and get past Powie before the end of this lap and get up into 14th place? She's going alongside and towards Alex Crivier. It's going to be a dangerous move. Oh, she's not quite gone for it. That's probably the wise decision there. So down towards Jorge Lorenzo, then is she going to do anything? Iagora being overtaken actually by Carol Idan Powie now, so Iagora, the next one up ahead, and I think Salach might have just nerfed off Hernandez, but I could have seen that wrong. Hernandez was wide. It looked like it had a bit of contact with Salach, but I'm not too sure. And here comes Daisy. Is she going to make a move on Agora down towards the first corner? I think she is. I think she's already ahead of him as they go into the first corner. Antonelli still leading ahead of Masia at the front of the group. But yes, she's got in front of Iagora now, so it will be Powie again in her size. Toba going on the inside of Agora as well. It looks like Salach still ahead of Hernandez. Hernandez dropping back through the order a little bit now. She's actually stressing her tyres a little bit if you look on the heat. So if we look back at Hernandez, actually, yeah, he's overheated his rear a little bit, so he's got to watch out for that. So down the back straight then towards Dani Pedrosa corner. Carol Idan Powie was just looking over his shoulder. Is Jackson going to go for it on the inside of Powie into this corner? No, she's not. She's not quite pulled it off there. She's not quite close enough. Hernandez getting a bit beat up now. He's going back up the inside of Philip Salach. Can he pull it off towards the Angel Nieto, not the Angel Nieto, Aspar corner? This is what I mean on the previous lap, getting them mixed up. But he is down in 18th position. I think the reason why I got them mixed up is because the Aspar team was renamed the Angel Nieto team for a short while, so I kind of associate the two as the same in my head, and it kind of messes with me a little bit, you know, for names, not the actual people, but for names of things, I associate them as the same in my head. But here we go then, Hernandez still in 18th position. Is Jackson making up any further positions? Not so far, but she's still sticking there with Powie, and they are getting away from Agora behind. So coming towards the line then at the end of this second lap, she's trying to get the slipstream on Powie. Antonelli still leads ahead of Masia in second, Arbely in third, Foggia fourth, and Mino in fifth. Hernandez still sat down here in 18th place, but it's now Kaito Toba in front of him, so whether he'll be able to get past Toba, I'm not too sure. He's quite close to Toba in the Riders' Championship, so they've probably got similar pace. And behind him it's one of the Estrella Galicias. I think it might be Sergio Garcia going around the outside. It actually is. Garcia trying to go around the outside, demoting Hernandez down to 19th. At the minute, he's still got it ahead, but as they go towards Angel Nieto corner up the inside goes Sergio Garcia. So Garcia up its 18th position now. Hernandez down into 19th. So Hernandez now got Cooney on the Team Asia bike right behind him, so he'll definitely be looking for a move straight past him. So it looks like here Hernandez is struggling quite a bit compared to the people around him. I mean, like I said, his rear tyre is extremely overheated. Powie going for a move on Arenas in front. Can he pull it off? No, he can't. It's not going to allow Daisy to be able to make some sort of move on Powie, because she's really been stuck behind him since the first lap, to be honest. She's not been able to make any kind of moves on him, but now he's all over the back of Arenas looking for some moves. He's definitely taking some compromising lines. Coming through the Aspar corner now. Can she try and do anything into Angel Nieto? She's not close enough to send up the inside, so I really hope she doesn't do anything like that, but she's pretty level-headed, so she won't do anything stupid. So for now, she's still in 14th position, but if Powie keeps getting stuck behind Arenas, she might be able to have a go at him. Whilst looking at that battle, we have missed. Hernandez has now dropped into 20th behind Yuki Cooney, so I think Hernandez, any shot at him getting points is definitely over at this point, even though there is 2 laps to go. He's definitely not got a shot at points at all now, so I probably won't keep my eye on him too much. And it looks like one of the RBA bikes having a go on him. Up the inside goes Ricardo Rossi. Ricardo Rossi absolutely bashing him out of the way there on the, I think it might be Mugen Racing actually might be called now, but it used to be the RBA team, but he is now ahead of Ricardo Rossi once again, so Rossi not being able to pull off that move. So as we're starting the final lap then of this race, it's been pretty uneventful so far, but Jackson is still right behind Powie, and Powie's dropped a little bit back from Arenas now, so Powie could be in some trouble. Sergio Garcia is actually catching up quite a bit from behind. Obviously he passed Hernandez a few laps ago, so he's charging through the field, so we've got to watch out for him. He's definitely going to be looking for a move on Jackson, because the rate he's catching her up is immense, so hopefully Jackson can try past Powie and put Powie between the two of them. As they come down towards the Jorge Lorenzo corner then, Jackson not been able to capitalise on Powie on this lap. And Garcia may be looking at the inside of the last corner, not quite though, so Garcia not quite been able to close up enough to the back of Daisy Jackson here. So Jackson is going to come home in 14th place, although Garcia's got a really good run on her. up towards the line. Jackson comes home in 14th, and Manuel Hernandez is just going to hang on to 20th ahead of Ricardo Rossi. So then we've met one of the objectives, got one of the riders in the top 15, but obviously Hernandez struggling quite a bit in this race, unfortunately for him. Not doing a bad job overall though, to be fair to him, but he did struggle a little bit. So if we have a look then, who won the race? Nicolo Antonelli, he looks like he's walking away with his championship so far. Same with Yama Masia, him and Antonelli look like they are the two running away at the front of the championship. So Jackson 13 seconds behind, the fastest like 1.7 seconds slower than Antonelli. So Antonelli absolutely dominating in this race, destroying the field there. So obviously Jackson ending up 14th, 20th Fernandez. Let's see where that puts him in the Riders' Championship. So actually so far Antonelli's won every race because he's got 100 points, so that's a very good start to the season for him. And Masia has got 80, so they've come first and second in every race. So I was right to assume that they have been dominating the championship. Andrea Mino moving up to 4th. But if we have a look at my riders then, Daisy Jackson still hanging on in 11th position in the championship there, ahead of Gabriel Rodrigo. Albert Arenas moving up 5 positions. Carlo Dampawi moving up 2. Unfortunately, Hernandez dropping down to 15th in the championship, not scoring of course. Moving down 2 positions, same with Kaito Toba, who was also fighting with in that race again. In the Constructors' Championship, unfortunately Petronas Sprinter Racing have a pretty good result. Obviously Powie and McPhee both beating both of my riders there. We dropped down into 7th in the championship. Grassini as well have had a good weekend, so they've closed up a little bit, but they're still 8 points behind us, so it's not too bad. We're only 6 points behind Petronas Sprinter Racing, so hopefully we can continue to fight with them till the end of the season. Obviously we're very early days yet, so you never know what might happen later on. I might have a look at investing into the riders a little bit at the end of this episode as well. But there we go then, a quite short Moto3 race, and nothing particularly interesting happened at all after the first lap. Hernandez dropped a few positions, but Jackson didn't gain any after the end of the first lap. But there you go, a good first lap for her, gaining, I think she gained about 8 positions, so fair play, can't complain about that. So let's head into my race now, and hopefully we can try and get another victory. So here we are then on the grid here at Jerez. Marc Marquez alongside us in 2nd place, Maverick Vinales in 3rd, and obviously Quartararo is in 4th. So the 3 riders that I expected to be fighting with are now at the front, but they've all had terrible starts to the season, really. I mean, stuff could still happen to me. Obviously, we saw what happened at Austin, actually, when us 3 all started in these same us 4 all started in these same positions. We all ended up on the floor on the exit of the first corner. And again, it's a similarly tight corner. Obviously, not quite as tight, but it's tight in the same sort of way. There's sometimes crashes going into there because it's quite a tight corner, so we'll see what happens, but let's get this race started then. Hopefully it's not a boring dominant victory, because obviously the Moto3 race wasn't too exciting, so I hope you guys will see some action. So I'm hoping it'll be an interesting race, but I do still want to win it anyway.
Just a few moments to go until the start of the Spanish Grand Prix. These riders know it will be vitally important to take the first curve perfectly.
So here we are then. Front row of the grid, myself, Marquez and Vinales. Remember last time how it ended. Hopefully it doesn't end the same way, but wait for the lights to go here at Jerez. Lights out and away we go. I've actually had quite a good start there. I was thinking that Marquez would be leading before the first corner. Looks like he might still be, but we've got the whole shot kind of as we go down towards the first corner. Marquez going in very, very late on the brakes there, so he's kind of dive bombed me, forced me to the outside, struggling with the grip round the outside of Marquez, a little bit of contact with him. So you know what, actually I might let him back through for that one. So there we go, Mark, go back through into the lead, because obviously I did tap him a little bit on the way into turn 2. So Marquez leads the race currently, ahead of myself in 2nd. I thought he was going to do what Rossi did last season on that curve, if you remember. Obviously this was quite a chaotic race. I started 2nd, I had quite a poor start, lost a few positions, there was the big crash, and then Miller was actually leading, and he managed to hold Marquez behind him for the entire race. So Marquez last season will be very disappointed. Aleix Bagro has crashed. I guarantee he's gone in too hot into that right-hand corner. Has gone to the grass. That's a typical crash for the AI at that corner. As we go into the Dani Pedrosa corner then, Andrea Dovizioso in 3rd position, Marc Marquez leading, myself in 2nd. But I'm all over the back of Mark. I've almost turned it too early for 7 actually, but I can take it calm. We're in 2nd position. We've got a much better start to the race than we did in Argentina, of course, and in Austin, and even in Losail. So actually this is the best start of the to a race we've had this season. We're still not leading, although we could still be leading by the end of the first lap if he continues to run wide through some of these corners into Pelequi. Looking at the inside, obviously we know we can outbrake Marquez quite well, although he quite surprised me about how deep he was willing to go into the first corner. Obviously he did force me a bit wide. Alex Marquez battling with Brad Binder. Apparently Brad Binder, I thought he was about 13th, so quite how those two have got near each other. As we go down towards the last corner, then on the brakes into the Jorge Lorenzo corner at the inside of Marquez, but we've ran in a bit wide, and he's actually followed us wide, so I've managed to block him on the exit of the corner then. So we've hit the front here at Jerez at the end of the first lap. 1 minute 43.1 on that first lap, 6 tenths of a second in the lead already, because obviously Marquez must have got a pretty poor exit off that last corner because he had to slow down because it was a bit of a block pass. I was expecting him to cut straight back up the inside of me, but he's gone in a little bit hot himself. So I guess I caught him out a little bit. He was probably trying to brake late so I couldn't pass him. So maybe if I braked at the normal point, I would have just rode up the inside of him anyway. Doesn't matter, we've hit the front regardless. So let's see if we can make a gap. 1 second already in the lead. If we can pull away this quickly, it's going to be a boring 9 laps, I'll tell you that. For me at least anyway, you won't see much of it, but for me I'll have to ride around 9 laps on my own, it'll be like a time trial. So coming up towards the line then. 1 minute 36.0, so actually I think that might be quicker than we did in qualifying on a first flying lap on a hard tyre, so that's quite interesting. 2 seconds in the lead of Marquez now. Another fast lap of the race then, 1 minute 35.9, so faster than we went in qualifying once again. 5 seconds in the lead now. 35.8, so again even faster. We're just building up the pace throughout this race. 6.4 seconds in the lead now. Another 35.8 then, as we start lap 7. How far are we in front now? 8.3 seconds. He dropped off about 2 seconds in that lap. 35.8 again, but another fastest lap of the race, so a little bit quicker. So we're pulling even further ahead of Marquez now. What is the gap going to be as we start this penultimate lap? 10.1 seconds. Absolutely ridiculous. So get ready to start the final lap of the race then. What's the time going to be this time? 36.1, so we dropped off the pace quite a bit, but I am using some fuel saving now, although I was anyway a little bit. Gone down to traction control 3 because the rear was spinning up quite a lot. What is the gap here then? Marquez still hasn't come over the line. 11.7 seconds, absolutely ridiculous. Let's see if we can get it to 12. That'd be awesome, see if we get that high, although the AI always take it down right at the end, it seems. On this game, they always take a bit of a chunk out of you in the last sector, just because of their simulated times. It's 12.3 now. Down towards the last corner then. 13 seconds I saw the lead there. 13.0. So we go through Lorenzo, then got to fire it out. Good use of power mode 2 as we got towards the line then. It's going to be another victory here on the Suzuki and an absolutely dominant display here at Jerez. Oh, that's what I mean. Look, the gap is only 11.5, but we know it was over 13 seconds. The AI just go back to doing qualifying laps for some reason after you've crossed the line, which is a little bit weird, but because of how far in front we were, no one's got the bug, at least where they've been put miles behind. Alicia Spagro, the only crasher in that race, so retiring, of course. Where did other people end up then? So Alex Marquez, I was talking about his race pace, I said he'd definitely get points. He didn't, he got 17th. Morbidelli down in 19th, not sure what's gone on with him, but that's a terrible display on that Yamaha. My teammate Rins apparently doing a 34.7. A little bit ridiculous that one there, but ending up 10th position. If you could do that kind of lap, you would not be down in 10th. So Marquez ended up 2nd position behind us then. Dovizioso 3rd. Rossi in 4th. So Rossi top Yamaha. Fair play. Redemption for what happened to him last year. And Vinales and Quartararo just miles behind again. So once again, quite a bit slower than Marc Marquez, even though theoretically they should be able to do the same lap times, so not sure what that is. Paulo Spagro then ending up 7th place, my teammate Mir in 8th then, so me and Mir will be the two contributing to the constructors, well, the constructors, not the constructors, the teams. I will be the only one contributing to the constructors. Nakagami there ending up 9th, and Rins, of course, obviously we already said, in 10th place. So in the Riders' Championship then, this is not what I saw coming at all. We've extended our lead by another 9 points, so we're now 39 points ahead of Andrea Dovizioso. But Valentino Rossi is now to 3rd in the championship. I can't believe it. I did not think I'd be saying this after the 3rd round of the season. Valentino Rossi, 3rd in the championship, 48 points behind though still, but 1 point ahead of Paulo Spagro, 1 point ahead of Alex Rins. Marquez 2 points behind them, Miller 5 points back of him. It's such a close championship. Maverick Vinales moves up into the top 9, then up into 8th in the championship. Quartararo up into the top 10, only a few points behind Alex Marquez now that they're finally getting some decent points on the board. If we have a look at the Teams Championship, then I've got a 48-point lead in the Teams Championship. Obviously Suzuki, I said I, but I'm in that team, so I guess that's fair to say that. But Repsol Honda only 5 points behind the Ducati team now, obviously with Marquez getting into his stride, so they probably will overtake them because Paulo Spagro has been consistently beating Miller. In fact, I think in every race he's beaten Miller, except in Austin, of course, where we all crashed. Petronas Yamaha in 4th place then. The Monster Energy Yamaha are really getting on track now. They're up to 5th in the championship. I'm sure they'll be up into that top 4 soon enough. The KTM factory team drops behind them, but Red Bull KTM Tech 3, sorry, they're both Red Bull KTM. The Tech 3 team moves ahead of the Vinci team, and the Idemitsu LCR team moves ahead of the Aprilia team, who obviously still sit on that 1 point that Cal Crutchlow scored for them. And in the Constructors' Championship then, we actually have a 29-point lead now ahead of Ducati in second, but Honda only 5 points behind them, obviously with Marquez once again getting into a stride. So I'm sure Honda will be taking that second position fairly shortly. So then, we'll head back into the Career Hub then. We'll have a look at the Moto3 team because I think I might improve the rider stats a little bit, spend a few credits, and we'll see how much we've got for this weekend as well. So then this weekend we gain 19,700 reputation points then. Obviously we only get reputation points from myself. We've got 13,200 for the race. We've got 6,500 for qualifying. So obviously it gives us the 19,700, which takes us to 559,200 reputation points. From that weekend then we get 72,040 credits, which takes us up to 1,855,780 credits. Obviously with Jackson getting us 40,000, I got myself 31,000, but unfortunately Hernandez not getting in that top 15. So actually, interestingly enough, we lose prestige for the first time this weekend because 20th place loses more than you get for 14th, so it's quite unfortunate there for Hernandez, actually letting the team down quite a bit. We're getting 150 research data as well there for that weekend, so I suppose it's not the end of the world, but we don't need the team prestige taking a hit like that, that's for sure. So no notifications for me, and I think after that dominant display, I'm going to stop upgrading the bike again now. Obviously, last season, I did the first half of the season with a non-upgraded bike and struggled to win the championship, so I didn't want it to be so difficult for me having to do this comeback ride that really was just luck. It was luck that I won it, that Marquez got knocked off twice, really. But yeah, I think now that we've won by, what, it was like 13 seconds, really, wasn't it? I know it said like 11 by the flag, but it was actually 13 that was in front when I went over the line. So I think we're such an easy victory. I think I'll stop upgrading the bike, so this last engine upgrade will come in. I might have a look at the anti-wheelie because that just makes the bike a bit more rideable, although that's part of the challenge, so perhaps I will leave it on. But obviously that does affect my skill elsewhere with the Grand Prix bikes. So if we have a look then at the Moto3 Junior team, looking at the team development. So obviously we took the money off the travel expenses, we made the R&D, the engine update course, so basically it makes the engines upgrade faster. This will make them faster in the qualifying race, 2% performance. Yeah, we'll do that then. 100,000 credits, that's quite a bit, but to be honest we've got a load of them, so it doesn't really matter. We gain like 70,000 a weekend, so it's not too bad. So this one will take minus 40% rider salary costs, may as well go for that, 95,000. So we'll go for the 2% bike development on this one. Thought the game would froze then. I can't develop this. Oh, I can't develop anything, you can only develop on one area. Okay, I don't think I've actually made them better at all, have I? No, all I've done is make them develop the bike better. Oh no, I've given them 2% performance in the races there. I've saved myself some cash and then just made them do slightly better bike development. So unfortunately I haven't actually improved their area like I wanted to. But that's where we'll end off the episode then. Usually I would give some quick summary of the race, but to be honest, nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened in the Moto3 race or the MotoGP race. They're actually quite short races, so you probably see by the episode length it shouldn't be as long. I think it might even be under half an hour this time. I'm not too sure, but I think that's probably where we'll be. But yeah, I literally just kept myself interested by, I was doing the fastest laps basically over and over again. That was just because that was the only reason I was keeping myself interested, just trying to beat my fastest laps. It was quite fun actually. I did really enjoy pushing the Suzuki to its limits, and that's when I realised during the race that we shouldn't upgrade the bike anymore, because that bike actually feels great when you start pushing. It's not like the KTM where it still felt pretty bad when you started pushing the bike. It felt like it was going to crash any minute. The Suzuki's stable. It's nice. Now that we got that, I think we put a frame upgrade on it, which really sorted it out from the Sepang test, so I don't think it's worth upgrading anymore because it'll just make the races a bit more boring. But I hope you did still enjoy that video regardless of that, guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you're all staying safe, and I shall see you in the next one.